a week if I can, but there are weeks where it just doesn't happen.
We'll call this Macon County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody. Can everybody hear me? Is it on? Good. Always glad to have members within the meeting business of the county. Under announcements, Chester, do you have anything? No, sir. No, sir. Chief, okay.
Planning board has changed their monthly regular meeting to the second Thursday of the month versus the third. So they're now on the second Thursday. So they're meeting 2 days from today.
Okay. And that has been, you announced that?
Sure, I hope that.
Okay, thank you. And Ron, have any announcements? Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Chairman, yes, sir. I'd like to just give the board a couple brief updates on number one being the budget, and we have started the meetings with department heads. And if you'll recall, on January 25th, the board recommended, or the board gave me the directive at our retreat to formulate a budget that allowed the county to continue to provide in all of its departments the same high level of service that we've always provided without a tax increase. And in doing that, I relayed that message to the department heads. And as I get these budgets back and go through each of these budgets with the department heads, it's just, and I want to brag on the department heads, it became clear that they heeded that advice. And the teamwork and just looking at the organization as a whole, and with us going into the revow and gearing up for that, a lot of them have substantially reduced their budgets even before our discussions. And so that's very refreshing, and I would just like to publicly thank the department heads. And it's just a pleasure to work alongside such a great group of people. And I can't thank them enough for that. Secondly, we received the appraisal back. We'll pass those down, Ron. Just take them and pass it down. I printed out the appraisal on the Parker Meadows property that we were required to do in finalizing out our part of the grant application and getting all that stuff squared away. The final reconciled value of that property was $595,000. So we purchased the property for $550,000. So it's nice to see that that investment right off the bat, as in a market like this, that Richard will tell you, where we've seen land values decline as much as 60%. It's good to know that the county made that investment, and we're already able to realize $45,000 in equity right off the bat.
And you said this is one we had to do
For Parker, yes, sir. Just wanted to make the board and the public aware of that. Also, while we're on the Parker Meadows subject, I would like to request that this meeting be continued to April the 29th. And Lori, on the agenda, if you'll look at new business 10F1, the consideration of initial findings resolution required by the LGC. In that consideration of initial findings, Lori, there's a public hearing in there set for April the 29th, and we could begin advertising it. We have to advertise 10 days prior, and this is all part of the package that we're trying to put together. This is just one piece of it. We're going to get the bid tabs, all the informal and formal bids back, all of our permits, and we hope to be able to package that and get it to the LGC by May the 6th. That will put us on their June agenda and will allow us to begin this Parker Meadows project. So a lot of people are working hard, and a lot of pieces are coming together, and that is off to a great start. And this will just be one of the steps that we need to do to ensure that we continue moving in the right direction. So I would like to, Mr. Chairman, make that request of the board.
What day is that? Tuesday.
3 weeks from today is Tuesday. We're doing 16. 3 weeks.
3
That's
weeks.
the date that we're doing.
Okay. Very good. Is that all you had?
Yes, sir.
Mike, do you have anything? I've got two personal announcements. We've got, we're all commissioners and board members, but we're human beings too. We've got 2 of our board members who've had special events in life. Commissioner Hickman had a grandchild this week. Is that your first one? Now, if you see that little, you see the little grin on his face, that may be holding that grandbaby. I've seen the pictures on Facebook, but
Not my Facebook.
no,
I don't know what that is.
your daughter's face.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen them on there, but congratulations on your
Thank
birthday.
you, sir. Thank you.
I know you're happy about that. And today, I used to be the youngest county commissioner, and then Commissioner Tate came on. But today's his 42nd birthday.
It's actually the 39th of the 3rd year.
Happy birthday, kid. Happy birthday today. I'm known to lead music choirs, and I was going to lead this group up here, but I don't think we got very much to work with. So we're going to pass on the happy birthday thing. You can wish both these commissioners congratulations on the baby and on the birthday on your own time. So we're going to stand right now and have a moment of silence, and then I'll ask Commissioner Tate if he would lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Mr. Chairman, if you stand for a moment of silence, just remember that some employees have lost a loved one. EMS employee and fireman, Travis Walden, has lost his dad, and other things in the county, so remember these.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item, we have a public hearing scheduled for tonight, and this is for under 911 addressing proposed names for new roads and range of road numbers. And Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, I think we're required by state statute to have a public hearing on that, so I will call the hearing to order at this time. Yes, ma'am. We'll handle this, or yes, ma'am.
Any help she needs, she's happy to, but I think it's incapable hands.
The hearing has been advertised as required by the North Carolina General Statutes, and all the road names have been posted in 2 locations in each township that is affected. Just request that you expect the road names and ranges and such.
And I will state for the record that we had a sign-up sheet that we could speak to these road names, and no one has signed up, so no one to speak to that. Is there anyone who has come in late or who would like to speak to this road name? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the names.
Actually, there's an ordinance, an amended ordinance.
Approve the ordinance.
Approve the ordinance as to be.
Second by West Main Street. We have motion.
Unanimous.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That is unanimous. Thank you. And then I think we have a separate hearing. Is that right, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir.
And this will be Macon County Transit. And so I'll call that hearing to order at this time. No one has signed up to speak to that either. So I'm asking, I think the county manager indicated he was going to handle that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke with Ms. Angel, and her staff are at a conference this week in Charlotte. She wasn't able to be here tonight, so she requested that I bring this to the attention of the board. what we have here is a single grant, but there's two applications. And if you'll look in your agenda packet on this public hearing notice, you can see that this particular grant that we're applying for through these two applications, one is a capital project and the other is an operating project. To start with the capital project, it's bus stop shelters and the installation of those bus stop shelters. You'll notice the total amount of the grant's $8,500. This requires a 20% or $1,700 local match. Would have to be paid with county money, and aside from that $1,700, the only expense the county will incur is the cost for the installation that we're going to provide through our maintenance staff. These bus stop shelters, we currently have 4 that we have purchased. They were purchased last year through ARA funding, and they're currently sitting out there at the maintenance shed. So this would install these bus stop shelters on the Mountain Gym route, which leads me to the second application that is a part of this grant for operating. What this portion is going to do is it will provide us with another route on the Mountain Gym. So right now there's one route on it, and every hour people get picked up. In other words, if you're at a stop on the Mountain Gym, your wait time's about an hour. What this will do is, of course, add another route, decrease that wait time to 30 minutes. It will require no additional staff. And the important thing to note here is, as you can see, out of this operating, 50% or $19,688 is required for a local share. However, the Kim has been able to use another grant she gets, a home and community care block grant, to make up for this $19,688, which in turn, no county money will be going to fund the operating portion of this project. So in saying all that, we basically have for $1,700 here an opportunity to increase the level of service provided to the citizens that have been riding the Mountain Gym and continue to ride the Mountain Gym, and with no new employees and no county money to fund the operating portions of that. I did speak with Kim and asked her, what if we're not able to marry these grants this year, like next year, like we did this year? What if we have some shortfall in funding of either one of those grants? She indicated to me at that time that we would dissolve this route and the operating expenses with it. But regardless, we'll still have those bus stop shelters for $1,700 if that were to happen. What I would ask the board to consider is there is a resolution in your agenda packet. It's not a public transportation program resolution. And by approving this resolution, we'll be able to enter into the contract if this was approved by the state. Each of these will take effect next budget, FY 14-15.
So you would include that in the budget?
Yes.
Questions?
Where's that route? Do you know there?
It runs by Walmart, Westgate Terrace. It's included in here.
Comes through Tank.
Let's see it. Yeah, it comes off of 441, like you're coming from Car City. You hang that right into town, right there. Then you go down Main Street, goes by Town Hall, Franklin, then goes down by Franklin High School to the library, and then all the way out 441 South. It's pretty big route, and evidently Kim, that's one of her routes that serves a lot of people. And she thought, I agree with her in the way that, in looking at a lot of things, there are very few opportunities where we're able to take advantage of the state money. It seems like oftentimes we're making up the shortfall that the state has failed to give us. So with this, we'll be able to increase the service to the citizens while taking advantage of these state funds that are available. And if they go away, then the route will go away as well.
And the bus stops, are they on, whose property are they on?
The bus stops, and that, when I was at the town and I was in the land use administrator at the town, this was brought to my attention. And this will be pending zoning approval of these bus stop shelters. A lot of the times they're in the DOT right of way. You can get an encroachment permit from the DOT for things such as bus stop shelters. So it will be, these will have to go to the town, go through that zoning process, and Kim had indicated that she will pick that up where her and I, when I was at the town, had left off. And the funding wasn't there at the time, this $8,500, and this came around, and so now she's again has means to install these shelters. So she's going to pursue that again, and she'll be in coordination with the town on that.
So Lori, the 1,700, do we need that now out of contingency, this year's contingency?
No,
or
this
next
will be,
year's budget?
this will be incorporated into 1450.
If you vote for this, what you're voting for is to include that in the 2014-15 budget.
Would that be in her budget?
Yes.
Let me ask this question here, either you as the finance officer. How much money is the county paying to this transportation department? Give or take, pretty close, I don't know the exact figure.
600,000 or 700,000, I think.
But a lot of that is grant money.
That's still tax money.
That's, well, yeah, but it's through, a lot of that 700,000 is through state grants. It's not necessarily coming out of county money, but
How much county money, could anyone of us give us an idea of how much county tax money is spent on this? All problem
I don't have a budget here.
It's not $600,000.
We put up
Most of it's
20%.
federal money.
We put up 20%.
I'd be hesitant to throw out a number without looking at it.
You've got different grants and I think different percentages.
We should know.
But I'll get you that.
If we need to get that before we vote.
Well, the reason I'm concerned about this is, I know we voted for the veterans to be able to ride to Asheville, go to Nineveh. And I'd just like to see how much we're up to, because there's a percentage every time that these grants are brought from us that the counties have to pay, and I'd like to just see how high that it's got.
This application must be submitted to the North Carolina Department of Transportation no later than May. Just like that.
Motion to approve the 1,700 county budget for the 2014-15 year.
Do a second motion.
You're making a motion on just that first part, the $1,700.
What about the motion to approve the resolution itself?
Yeah, the resolution's got that's what we're looking for. In other words, the resolution will give me the authority to enter into this contract if this grant is awarded.
We'll just be prepared if it's awarded.
If it's awarded, that's all this resolution is.
I change my motion to approve the public transportation program resolution.
Do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And just clarification, this is not take money out of contingency. This is not new money. This is to put that money in the 2014-15 budget, which is yet to come. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, discussion, questions, clarification? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. I guess that's it, isn't it? Just declare the hearing closed.
Well, we should have done that before.
Well, I guess we should have. Well, the hearing was closed, and now we're voting. Do we need to vote again?
They get the,
Okay, I declare the hearing closed. We have a motion.
I have a motion to approve the resolution.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Unanimous. Public comment period, had the sheet I was given by Mr. Trammell had no one on it. Does anyone here like to speak of it? Time, this is your time. Okay. Hearing no one, we'll move on. Adjustments to approval of the agenda. This is when any of us can ask for an item to be removed, changed, postponed, added, whatever. So are there any items, Chester, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to item 9C,
Yes, sir.
dealing with franchise agreement, J&D disposal, so it needs some additional time on that. I would ask that be forwarded on to the administrator.
Okay.
Furthermore, there is a need for a closed session with the county attorney to preserve the attorney privilege and also to discuss the possible acquisition.
Noted. So we'll strike at Chester's request, we'll strike 9C, which is the franchise agreement with JD. We also will make it clear that he's requested a closed session for attorney-client privilege, okay? Lori, anything you want to add?
I have one item to add. If you can add it under 10F and make it number 4.
Okay.
It's a budget amendment relative to this Parker Meadows project.
Okay.
Now, I've got a handout here with my text and that's all.
Okay. We'll add that.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to request the 10D and E be removed.
10 what?
10D and 10D. Give some more information on that.
Okay. So we'll strike 10D and E from the agenda. Okay. Anything else? Anything you'd like to add or?
Being a liaison to the Greenway, I've got some I want to discuss with the board. And also, with tourism development, there's some questions on something I want to.
Would this be under new business, Ron?
Yeah.
We'll call it 10H. Say my ABCs though. You're gonna do it. Don't laugh, you do it too. What's the first one you mentioned?
The Greenway.
Greenway. And we'll make 10I, and that was what, Ron?
Is the TBC, tourism
To do
development.
with okay. Add those items. Anything else need to add or delete? Lord, Mr. Higgins? All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Okay, moved into the reports and presentations. We have Dawn. It's Wild, right? I want to say Wilby because he's my doctor. I know. I got it. I understand. I'm saying I have a I want to say that because you're
I correct you all.
I understand. So Dawn Wild is here. She's with Macon Public Health Center, and it's to do with the proclamation of Public Health Month. Dawn, we'd like to welcome you. Would you please introduce your guest?
Molly Phillips, she's a representative of the Board of Health.
Molly, we're glad you're here.
So we're asking you sign a proclamation tonight declaring April as Public Health Month. As you know, public health is concerned with protecting the health of the entire population. These populations can be as small as a local neighborhood or as big as an entire country. So we're asking you to help us protect Macon County.
You have that information. Do you have any questions or clarification of what that means?
Well, could you give us a little bit of information on what it all is about?
You read the resolution?
on here?
Yeah.
Okay, I got two of these emails here. Didn't have it on.
Mr. Hagan, would you like me to read the
No,
proclamation
not on here.
itself?
I'll let you
It's,
know.
it's right after the. I think it's 8:10. The tab that says, Public Health Month proclamation, it follows its pretty lengthy.
That's all I got. We're trying to.
You got copies? Just give me a copy. Anybody else not that?
Well, I don't smoke, but other than that, I'm batting 100 over this stuff.
We have a motion to approve April as Public Health Month proclamation. Do you have a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Also mentioned as part of that, Dawn has asked me to help with the Leading the Way to Wellness walking program, and I agreed to do that. So that's going to kick off on Saturday, April 26th at 8:30 a.m. That's all part of it.
It is in Franklin, but in Highlands, we're doing it at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So-
I can do both, is that right? So will we do that on the Greenway, and you'll let folks know, does it say where that is?
It will be at the town hall at 8:30. Yes, that day's going to be the kickoff event,
Okay.
and we'll meet at 8:30, and we'll do a short walk. We're going to be giving out some free things like monitors and those.
Oh, out of town,
No, we chose not to drag people up Town Hill for the first,
Good
that's the
idea.
second day.
She,
Yes.
don't you think it's a good example of all the commissioners stand for?
I do, and Mr. Tate is actually going to be walking in Highlands.
Gonna do the
So
Highlands.
he is going to do the Highlands route with the mayor and Highlands. So, but, and Mr. Rowland is also going to be walking.
Actually, Mr. Rowland and I were the ones that we did
Yes.
do this, didn't we? Mr. Rowland, so we'll see you there.
Looking forward to it. Highlands will be the same day.
Yes, it'll be at 11 o'clock though, on the Sunday. So we'll do the kickoff 8:30 to 9:30. They're both going to, it's Saturday, the 26th.
So again, Saturday, to kick off Saturday, April 26th, 8:30 a.m. at Franklin Town Hall. And it'll be a whole group of us that's going to do a short walk through town. And this is the flyer about it.
Yes.
And we got some flyers if you're interested in taking one of these. I think it'd be good if some more collections people can walk through.
I'll be in the lead car driving.
There's no driving through this.
What we'll do after the kickoff event is the community leaders that's listed on the flyer will actually be different days in different areas throughout the week. We're asking probably like a month and a half to get everybody started, to show them the beauty of the Greenway, to show them, downtown. There's some areas that people are familiar with that want to get walking routes there. Over at the community building, we'll have other people walking there. So there's 3 different places and different times. So some will be during the day, and some will be in the afternoon, some will be on the weekend. So there's an opportunity for everybody to get out and walk, and it'll encourage people. Some people don't want to get out and walk by themselves. And we know that there's evidence that physical activity, especially walking, is healthy for people. So that's what we want to do, is get people out and get used to walking, especially if there's new people to our community. Then they'll be able to meet others and walk together. And the goal, we've got short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. We're wanting to work up to a 5K walk or run. In August, they'll have Riverfest in Franklin, and then the Rotary Club sponsoring a 5K in Highlands in August. So we'll encourage people to build up to that, either walking or running. And then throughout the year, there's more walks or runs that they can participate in. And then, of course, next April, there'll be another 5K. So we're hoping to encourage everybody to get healthy, and we appreciate y'all leading the way.
Thank you. And I can tell you, being in the insurance business, this is something that people have recognized last few years. It's better to take care of yourself on the front end than treat yourself on the back end. So this is not just something that's sort of a newfangled idea. It's becoming a very well accepted practice for like public health, hospitals, to encourage people to take care of themselves. Ronnie, will you walk? All right, anything else? You have, where's the original? Do this up here.
Thank you.
You need this.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Don, appreciate that very much, it's a good thing. Next, we have Luke Bateman. Luke is the chair of our local board of elections, and he is requesting to be on our agenda. Luke, welcome.
Yes, thank you for having us. Not sure if you guys have a copy of this.
Yes, we do.
Okay. It's just in case, but what we're, not yet, okay. Okay. What we're coming to do is request a budget amendment for the Board of Elections for our remainder of fiscal year 13-14. We're able to appropriate some election fees and some transfers over, and the amount that we're asking from contingency is for $41,458. And Lori helped us put this together in cooperation with our interim director, Debbie George.
What Luke said, I met with Debbie Friday, and I think her and the board came up with projections of what they need to get through the year. Unfortunately, we did have $15,089 of the election fees and then the municipal election fees that we can appropriate. And so this amendment is prepared to appropriate those revenues to offset the expenses, and that would leave the $41,458 under contingency.
You say, minus all
Well, at this point, we are, what we have done due to our current situations, this ongoing investigation, that's basically in the hands of the State Board of Elections at this point. Our duty by statute is to run that office, conduct this election that's coming up, and we're prepared to do that. We've made all the cuts that we can in trying to be as diligent as we could with what we have left and what we have remaining that's required by law for us to do. And so we felt pretty good about this number, that we were able to get it down to that, considering the current circumstances.
And that most of this, it's slightly different, but most of this is, I take is for some temporary help or whatever you need to get.
Well, we have 3 employees down there now. It includes that, but the bulk of everything would be the election expense and everything that's involved with conducting this primary on May the 6th, including ballots, absentee ballots, absentee envelopes, all the services that we need done, poll workers, and all those items for this upcoming election in May.
Questions?
had this in our packet, I mean, that's a big hit, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking a beating on what's going on right now. Taking a beating, and we are.
We can relate, yes.
The question is, when does this end?
Well, that's the question I think we've all been eagerly awaiting the answer for. We have done at this point, we've done what we can. It's in the hands of the State Board of Elections at this point. We have submitted to them for this to be resolved. But ultimately, that position of the county director is at their ultimate discretion.
So they're the ones to make that decision, not y'all, let's be clear about that.
Yes.
And let's be clear to the president about this, it's not a decision, and Derek and I were talking about this today. The county board of commissioners has no say in this.
That's correct.
Except funding.
Except for
Correct.
funding.
But there is a responsibility on the part of the county board to fund and adequately run the board of elections so that they can perform the statutory obligations.
Let me just be direct, is this money you would need before you can conduct the primary elections May 6th, or this is money that you would need prior to the end of the fiscal year?
This money primarily, and as you'll see there, the biggest line item is election expense. So that would need to be appropriated for to conduct this election, basically, to pay the folks that do the work for us for the primary election. Yes, sir.
I guess what I'm asking, I too have just seen this, and we're just made aware at the same time. Our county manager professional meeting on April, would it be towards the group that we table this? I'd like to ask a few more questions about it. This may want to entertain a motion to approve that.
What's up?
Got about 104,000. So we should put this 41, about 763.
Fiscal year.
Basically, statutorily and budgetarily, we have to make this department whole. Because if not, at year end, when I'm audited, if they don't have sufficient budget and they're over budget, I'm gonna have a fine with y'all's audit. So we don't want that. You know, it's a bad situation, it is what it is, but we have to make them whole budgetarily.
Mr. Chairman, I really don't see no reason to postpone it. I mean, this situation is, we can talk about all we want to, it's really out of our hands. Like Paul says, we all get asked every day.
But is this money directly related to what's going on?
Yes. I mean, of course, this was money that was misappropriated out of our budget.
It's a misappropriation.
That we no longer have.
What we have to do.
Exactly. This is money that was misappropriated, and I feel like the amount that we initially were told was misappropriated. We've been able to cut from that amount to what we're short here by several $1,000s.
So it's total $10,000, but then.
Correct.
Whatever.
Give or take, right,
So,
correct.
and that's what you're saying is this is the 41,000
Right.
that.
Is of that.
Question.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I mean, it is what it is, and if we have the ability to change this department, if we've got an election coming up on April 6th, this department's got to have the money, we can postpone it, won't do, but I'll make a motion that we approve the money requested as a contingency, and thank the department for all they're trying to do. That's hard to stomach, Matt, that's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, I'm like this on it right here. I think every one of us stepping in the field right there, we gotta do it, I say.
A motion and a second. Approve the main request discussion.
You have reviewed with the finance officer as tight as you can get this.
Yes. Yes.
And of course, if they don't spend it, it just rolls back.
Right, and of course, we're going to be, I mean, we've been as conservative with what we're having to do There's no extra bells and whistles right now to get through this. We're trying to watch every penny as we can to get this election done, to get that office running as it should be, and it is. I'd like to, publicly commend Debbie, George, and Melanie that have done the job to pick up the pieces down there and really have done a stellar job in getting that office going, as well as our board with Gary Dills and Sarah Walter and myself. We put in a lot of time trying to do the right thing, given the hand we were dealt, and move forward.
Yeah, and I don't question, I appreciate. Is there can we get some sort of written opinion or something from whoever the chief cat is, the state board of elections that's over this situation we're dealing with, giving us a progress report or what?
They will deal with this in due course by the terms of the statute, which is a timetable listed in that statute that they'll follow.
Yes, and we're looking at, I think according to statute, once they receive what we have submitted to them now, we're looking at about a 3-week period.
So we're close.
We're getting close.
But the fact is that, and it's public knowledge, that the Board of Elections with Lori has just could have easily been $10,000 to $15,000 more than what you're asking for here, because that's what was in question.
Yes. So with working with that, with our reimbursements from the town election, as well as the filing fees for this primary election, we were able to appropriate those funds to bring that total down.
And, well, not to mention, we had the state auditor's office come in and do this rather than hire an outside firm.
Correct. And that was another tremendous savings in the county overall.
And that came out of a conversation between myself, Derek Rowe, and Senator Davis.
And those numbers for that audit were as much as $25,000.
That's correct.
Which is half a million questions. It seems ridiculous to me.
Just to speak to that, the sheriff called down to the SBI week before last, at the end of the week. With the investigation that was ongoing with the SBI, to finish out their investigation, they were needing some documentation from the state auditor, and the state auditor, the SBI, had some things they were needing. So
You got to talk to each other.
that back and forth, they're talking to each other, and with respect to both of those investigations, I would hope, and after talking with the sheriff and with the auditor, I'm optimistic that those will be coming through now soon.
That doesn't mean we get a check back to them.
No, that doesn't, no.
But I say, in the end, if there are party or parties that are found responsible for missing that, are they going to be asked to make restitution?
That will be, that's,
I suspect
I
the
suspect.
attorney would be requested part and parcel of it.
So that money, at that point, will come back.
Potentially, yes. But I wouldn't count it till you had it.
We'll feel like it, the citizens, they want to make the county
We got to do it, like Father said, we're entrusted by the taxpayers.
Absolutely.
To safeguard their valuable dollars, and we failed. Somebody, I don't know who, somebody failed.
Let's all raise our hand. How do you agree to that? I think well, sure.
It is what it is.
And these guys agree, it's not their fault.
Oh, I'm not, no, you guys,
Multiple failures.
is there safeguards to prevent it in the future?
Absolutely. Those are definitely some measures that we as a board and our direct dealings have done, but I'm sure across the board there's been some other safeguards.
Complete county leaders.
Right.
When we get those reports back, Commissioner Higgins, we're gonna look at those and continue seeing what we can do to ensure that this never happens.
Okay, further discussion.
So the motion would be to approve this budget amendment as presented.
That's what you
Never continues.
And appropriate those revenues.
Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
You missed a copy of this of
Yes.
Okay. Richard Light. Richard is our tax administrator, and as mentioned by our county manager earlier, we are heading into revaluation. Thank you, guys. And so Richard is here to discuss, just getting in to read the whole bag. This is going to be a general.
All I have to do is clean it tomorrow.
This is
Read it at your leisure.
This is 240 pages long. We have read that before.
Yeah, I got it memorized. Tell us what it means in about 10 words.
Tell you what it means in 10 words. It's the Bible, we have to pray by it, basically. Any appeal to the state, if it's not in that thing, that's what they go by. Did you allow for this? Did you not allow for this? And that's how they decide the cases. So it's got to be broad enough to address all the land, all the buildings, all the residential, but then flexible enough to allow the differences in between. So that's basically the schedule. I had written this up, but then I noticed earlier in the meeting about Mr. Darrett there mentioned a public hearing on the 29th for something else. I don't remember what it's for, but we need a public hearing on this scheduled value. And I had put down the 22nd, but if you're already going to have a public hearing on the 29th, we need to piggyback on that. And that still allows for the other things that we have the public hearing. I have to advertise once the public hearing is over that it's been made, and you advertise for 30 days. And the schedule value lays there, as you can see, through June, and then we finally adopt it after June 11th. So there's actually you adopted May 13th, it lays for 30 more days, and then after June 11th, that's the last day anyone could appeal to the Property Tax Commission in Raleigh, because this is what we have to have to finish the work.
So in summary, this is a schedule by which you appraise people's property, and if they question that, this is what's
used to come up with all the mathematical stuff. If in your leisure, and what we're just, I need to tell the public also, we'll have this put on our websites as soon as I can get with Andy and all them by, hopefully tomorrow or next day. So anyone can hold up their website, and if somebody don't have access to it, they can come by and actually sit down and start reading. But most people access it through websites, because as you can see, it's 200-300 pages. You're not going to read it straight through and understand it. So,
But it doesn't reveal anybody's tax value.
there's no names in there. There's no examples in there. It just tells you if you got a house, it tells you what we look at and what those each feature of that house would add up the value. Also land or anything else, from commercial to mountain land. It also in the back it has the agriculture, horticulture, forestry. It's got a schedule for that too, which we adopt. And that's for your farm program, how much you have to pay on your cattle land or your timber land.
Now, Richard Melvin spoke to the board a couple of weeks ago.
You want me to address that?
He was referencing this thing here. Yeah, I'm referencing. What he was wanting is if a property sells in an off appraisal year,
Yeah.
that value, that market value.
What I'm going to tell you, and Ronnie knows, I'm a pretty straightforward guy. So what I tell you right now, you may not like my explanation, but it is the law. in under 105-287 in the Machinery Act of North Carolina, in a year that reappraisal does not take place, and this was Mr. Melvin's contention, you cannot change the value for normal physical depreciation of the improvement, inflation, deflation, or economic changes affecting that, or betterment of the buildings and landscaping and gardening and forestry and all that. So the law is real specific. I can't change it. The court cases have ruled any sale after January 1, 2007 in this county. All I have to do is go to Raleigh and say that information is not within the time frame of our assessment. We make a motion to dismiss that information. I can't even go down there. If I say Mr. Higdon bought this property on January 4th of 2007, I was told by the tax commission, we're not talking about that. It's after January 1. That's how far you get with that. So the other question he had was dealing with foreclosure sales and things like that. And that's under 105-283 in the Machinery Act. All property, real and personal, shall be impractical, be appraised, or valued at its true value in money. When using this in this subchapter, true value means market value, and market value price is estimated in terms of money at which the property would change hands between a willing and financially able buyer and willing seller, neither being under compulsion to buy or sell, and both having reasonable knowledge and use of the property is adapted for and which it can be adapted for. Basically, in layman terms, is stress sales cannot be used. So, my opinion, when anyone that's in the profession, being attorneys, lawyers, bankers, appraisers, get up here and mislead the public in that the county official or our staff is doing something incorrectly and they know better because they are versed in these laws, then it's a disservice to the public, disservice to the county taxpayer, because that confuses them about the whole situation. What he was proposing to the board is illegal in this state. So basically, he didn't do you any service by getting all that press and saying, because we can't use it. Now, I was in a meeting yesterday and today in Asheville with state people and people from Virginia and North Carolina and everywhere in Department of Revenue, and this question came up about golf courses because golf courses are all going under, the little ones are. You can't use that. The Department of Revenue sat there and explained, you can't use foreclosures. You can't use distressed sales. In other states you can, but not this state.
So you could, but the state would have to change the law.
Yeah, Georgia did that. North Carolina has not done that. North Carolina is true value, meaning part of my transaction.
It's an issue we take up by the legislature.
Correct.
Well, Rich, to tell you, the Machinery Act is, if you go back and look at the Machinery Act and the updates in it, it's an antiquated system. Richard would agree with that. But it's all you got.
Yeah.
That's what we got. Does it need rework? I think a lot of folks would agree with that.
Well, there is some studies, and we all know the Mecklenburgs of the last year and other things, and the Department of Revenue is coming out with some stricter guidelines, which they have the power under the Machinery Act. So the law is always changing, but this has been the law in North Carolina for years on years, and it probably will never change, because in '74 they went from a percentage, 50% value to 100%, and to make that simple for layman out there is true market value. What would you sell it for if you didn't have a big doctor bill or you didn't face foreclosure and those type of things? It goes back to true market. So that's where we are. Now going back to our problem we have now, you have a schedule value, and that's how we design that schedule based on comps in the market, average comps. Now going back to distressed sales, you can look at them. You have enough in the market that have made a effect. Mr. Higdon has his house for sale, and there's 17 foreclosed houses in his neighborhood. Well, he's not going to be able to get top dollar like he could in '07. So it does have an effect. But not necessarily, we're gonna say 17 sold at X dollars, and we're gonna appraise his at the same X dollars. It's not that type of thing.
So what you're doing tonight, you're presenting this.
Presenting a schedule, and Mr. Chairman, you need to set a public hearing, so I can advertise that, and I think the 29th, because we already, I think gonna have it.
10-day notice.
So we have a two.
I think you got that in the paper next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any problem doing those beyond at all? We'll go ahead and, if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and set the public hearing date for April the 29th. And that document will be inspected by the
Public online or in my office if they can't get access.
And that document is standard.
Well, each county has to adopt one. And so they have different things like Wake County with all the skyscrapers and everything else, they'll have a lot more rent information for income approach. They'll have a lot more, skyscrapers and type of things.
This is designed to deal with the types of properties we have here.
Designed by
Us.
by the tax authority.
We've been designing our own since 87, 91.
So I think it'd be good between that and we all read that and be familiar with it and see what questions we got.
And that's what the public hearing for, if anybody has a specific question.
Or we're doing a schedule of the public hearing now, right?
Is there any objection to scheduling the public hearing on April 29th? Any objection? If not, we'll declare that the hearing. We need to vote on that.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
That was all the reports and presentations. Old business, we have, staff, we have the update of the signage for the Robert C. Carpenter Community.
Good evening. I'm here to give you an update on signage for the Robert C. Carpenter Community Facilities Bill. The night after you guys chose to change the name, I got a call from a couple of those committee members saying, well, that's a mouthful. So first things first, I would like to see if we couldn't possibly make an amendment to that resolution and drop the word facilities out of that title, make it the Robert C. Carpenter Community Building. That building's known to most people in Macon County anyway as a community building. The word facilities is not necessary anymore.
I always hated that name. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you. Y'all make it much easier to answer the phone.
It's officially the Robert C. Carpenter Community Building.
All right. What we're going to do, and I'll pass one picture around. We're going to put some wordage on the building itself, kind of like in front of the library now. Above there's a good space above the windows, right at the front door. Do it out of a black plastic, weather resistant. It'll last forever. Stating the title Robert C. Carpenter Community Building. And also out front, the sign that's there now has seen its better days. We were way past due for an update. So what I'm proposing is to replace the sign that's existing now with a new box on top stating the new title of the building, and also going with a digital sign down below that will be able to change and add more information on. Everybody that has something in there is all the time coming up asking to put it on the sign out front. Well, if you've got more than 3 things in the building that afternoon, you can't do that. If we've got fall sign-ups that need to go at a month at a time, a digital sign will make that much easier to do. So that's what I'm proposing. Let's do is replace the sign that's there now with a digital sign with also a solid sign up on top that basically is going to be backlit, so you'll be able to see it at night also.
We discussed this at the rec commission meeting, which I liaison to. Seth has the money in his budget to do this. It was something that he was going to do as part of his budget this year anyway.
Seth, is that something like Rayburn County, City Center, Scott.
Exactly.
Like that. That's
Yeah.
pretty nice stuff.
It is, and like I said, we'll be able to put a whole lot more information out now than what we do whenever we have shows or anything else, but it'd be very well advertised.
How old is that building? 72?
73, I think is the title out front.
It's held up well.
It has, but it's starting to show its age.
Are the lights working in the parking lot there?
The lights are not. There are 4 that are. The ones that aren't at the bottom are ballasts. You can't get bolts for those anymore. And we have had a couple companies come out to give us a price on replacing everything. It's not as easy as going to screw a light bulb as Ranks and Raves say.
Sort of like the pool, we need to do upgrades
Yeah.
every 40 years.
Yeah, every 40 years. But we are. It's going to be in the upcoming budget to replace the poles and the light fixtures. We are looking at it. We're not ignoring the problem, but we are addressing it.
What was the cost of the new?
The new lights, I'm not sure yet. I've had one quote for right at about $16,000, but I've had one for a little bit less. Depends on what kind of lights you use. If you go LED, our power usage is a lot less. We've got to get all our bids in and then weigh the ongoing costs of those lights.
And when was the last time they were upgraded?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. It's been over, I've been here 13 years and they were there. They were old looking whenever I got there, so it's been a while.
They've been out for a while.
Yes.
Changing the name.
That's all, yeah, he's not asking for your name. We just need
No, I would be, that, don't think.
We asked about the sign, didn't we? We got to vote on that.
I make a motion to change the sign, or to change the wording. You've got the signage cost in your budget. We don't have to vote on that.
No.
Do we need to vote, we voted to change the name of the building, we need to vote to change the sign.
Change the name, shorten the name, I think it's
Yeah, sure. Okay. Do we need to vote on that? Yes.
I think it's implied in what you do. If you want to make a sign with name the building differently than what you just named.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
And also, one other thing while I'm here, at the Rec Commission meeting this morning, the Rec Commission, along with a couple other community members, have asked about a groundbreaking ceremony for Parker Meadows, and they kind of came up with a date of April 19th at 10 o'clock. And wanted me to run it by you guys to see if that would be a possibility. They wanted to do it on a Saturday morning, so more people in the community could come out. A lot of little leaguers and everything.
You're part of that discussion, the bids are being put out on the 15th,
Yeah,
is that right? And they'll be back May 1st.
somewhere.
And that's,
in
that is one of the things we're working towards. Again, we're hoping to get on that June agenda for the LGC right now, and we're going to contact the LGC. They have a 4-week, they require that you submit the package, which will be inclusive of the bids, and what we're having this public hearing on April the 29th will be inclusive of all that, and we're hoping to get them, talk with them and see if we can't arrange maybe a couple more days to allow us a time period to submit all this information. So right now, tentatively, those bids are set for the 15th.
And that date could be moved, around. That's just a date that they kind of came up with.
April 19th on the property, will be the groundbreaking sort of deal, and you'll have that.
Yes.
Okay. 10 acres. Any objections to that, gentlemen? I will say, I guess the Rec Commission would be under their guidance how to do that.
Okay.
If you need some help, talk to our manager, figure out what you're going to do.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that's it. Thank you. The next thing is the update. If you remember the employment, what's it called now?
Workforce Solutions.
Workforce Solutions. Was losing funding from the state to continue to pay their $4,000 a month rent. And they asked for us to consider some space, and they came and talked to us about this. I've had conversations with our county manager, he's had conversations with Southwestern Community College and the Division of Workforce Solutions. I think our county manager may have a potential solution.
Yes, sir. We've been looking into, and I've been talking with Dr. Thomas of Southwestern Community College regarding the southwestern wing of the annex building. Right now, currently, Southwestern's using 4 classrooms. They're going to look into rearranging some programming classes that they have, freeing up one of their classrooms, and they're also looking into giving us an office space up front there for an intake, as well as we do have some room there in the lobby to potentially put some areas, some cubicles in there for people to work and do the things they need to do that don't require the assistance of a human being. So we're still, Dale and Dr. Thomas, we're getting together on that, and I feel very good about she has to be there by June 30th, and I think that's we've pretty much got that nipped in the bud.
Good job. Derek's done a great job to facilitate this, and going after the rent would be zero.
So Southwestern, do they have any, can they move some of the classes to Friday when the college is empty? Like it is now, or?
They're looking at, I think that could potentially be one of the options they're considering when they're looking at moving some of the programming out of that one room and freeing up some space for class.
Okay, 9C we were asked to remove. 9D is consideration of the swing set, gift of the swing set to make the schools. Again,
That resolution is in your package.
Motion to approve.
and this is an agenda item, it really is. We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Possibly.
The posting is required by statute.
Who you gonna do it?
Know that?
Who's gonna want?
Move it.
They would.
Any other discussion?
The maintenance, the school maintenance said they would move.
They'll come to you.
They just need to be notified to somebody. Okay, good.
Do it.
Maybe contact somebody at the school. Make sure they'll get them.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Under new business, Mr. County Attorney, we've got the Macon Tracks pilot program with Macon County Schools.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, I have passed out a license agreement for each of you. Basically, what the Macon Tracks program is, it's a horse therapy program. A more specific description is set forth as an attachment to the license agreement. They have requested the Macon County School Board the opportunity to use a small little piece of property on the South Macon campus for activities of this program. It's an educational therapeutic program, and because the school is leased by the county, by the school board from the county, not only does the school have to agree to the use of that property, but the county does as well. And that's the purpose of this license agreement. It basically says we're given permission, and it also says that upon 10 days notice, we can revoke it. I will say to you that you will note that Exhibit D is blank at this point, and what that is designed to be is a certificate from Macon Tracks showing that they are insured, and indeed that the county and the Macon County School Board are named as additional insureds for sums of money set forth in the license agreement. It's my understanding they are insured, but they have not yet gotten that certificate. And I would ask for you to consider approval, subject to getting that certificate and attach it.
As liaison to Macon County School Board, I'd recommend we approve this.
Which piece of property is it down there?
It's marked.
Paul, let me show you. You can't see it very well on yours.
Oh, is that little
Yeah,
circle?
it's that little red circle right here.
It looks like a black circle.
Yeah, it's black on your copies.
Mr. Chairman, we do have Jan McGee and Alvin and Dor, Doster and some other board members, if you'd like any questions from Pratt.
Would you guys like
What a
to-
wonderful program this is, I think they'd like to speak.
If you'd like to speak to that, we can invite them.
You've got that whole field over there, Alan.
We've looked at the whole thing, Paul, and Mr. Bowles wants it close enough for the kids to be able to get to it.
That thing is land over there, that's damn good.
We've looked at it over the years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We did have that insurance put on before, and it's just a matter of a check going out to the insurance company. So, and we're very excited about the program. We think we can really offer the students at the schools a really unique opportunity for the special needs.
And then don't specify again.
Now, we're not asking for any money
Not kind of program.
from y'all or the school board. We are going to have to up our fundraising efforts a little bit, but we plan on doing that anyway.
For those on this board not familiar with Macon Tracks and not been a part of it, I've been lucky to be a part of that with Jan and Alvin and a lot of other folks. But it's just a wonderful program if you ever go out and see these kids ride, to get to do something that they'll never have an opportunity to do. And it's thanks to these folks and the long dedicated hours. Talk about a dedicated group in our county. These folks are dedicated, they do a wonderful service.
I'll second that motion we made.
It was.
Motion and a second, any discussion? And that was contingent upon you receiving the insurance.
And as I said, I don't think there'll be any issue about that. We had one before.
Agreed.
And probably tomorrow.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Sure,
Thanks all of them.
Thank you.
We have a request regarding Macon County Schools capital outlay budget amendment. Lori, I think you have that.
As you can see in your packet, the school board sent over a request. They sent over a request to just move, they have $17,600 that's sitting in category 1, which they just labeled district-wide security measures. They're wanting to move that down to the category 2 level of capital outlay. And they'll still use it for security type measures. It will be used for entry cameras, keypads, and swipe cards. So we just need a motion. They're not asking for more money, it's just a motion to move from category 1 to category 2. We just need to approve.
And as liaison to that group, I said this before, they're an elected board like we are. Once we allocate that money, if they need to move it, that's their judgment. I think we should do it. Do a motion, do a second.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. I'll let you do that tomorrow. It's passed.
Consideration of application to release lottery funds. Lord?
As well. Every year I bring this to the board. This year we have $311,050.65 available to draw down of lottery funds, which that we budget every year in our debt service fund to help, pay off school debt. So this is just the application to draw down those funds. You have to approve it, and then I'm going to send it to Angie, get her board to approve it later this month. We'll get both the chair signatures and put that in there.
We have a motion. We have a second. Motion and a second. Commissioner Tate.
Just so you know, Mr. Chairman, this is, we didn't make the chart that we had last Tuesday night. But this is approximately $250,000 short of what we should be doing.
It's about 40%.
The legislature cut it another 40%. The legislature says 20% should be 40. It's what it's supposed to be 40. And we'll be talking about that in short session with the legislature, trying to get that back to the 40% that was promised for the school.
Like this, like the woman was spitting, though, she's set over a little bit helps, so.
Because they only did anything right.
I know they can right now, every little bit helps, they.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. To 10F, what's that?
So sorry, I interrupted.
Okay. 10F, we have some resolutions regarding the park manager recreational park. What are you doing there?
Yes, sir. At your desk, I've labeled 3 items, well actually 4 items with my add-on. The first one to consider is item 10F1, which is the initial findings resolution. This is required as part of the package to the LGC. It's a lot of legal language, but basically it's, authorizes me to file application with the LGC and authorizes myself and the manager to negotiate a financing contract when we get to that point. And it also sets the date of our required public hearing, which will be April 29th at 6 p.m. So I would ask that you please
Sets forth a
approve
notice.
this tonight. Yes,
Sets forth a notice to the connection.
right. There's no
That would
package.
need to go in Wednesday's paper
Yes,
this week.
we'll appear in the 16th edition, April 16th edition of Practice Press.
We're required to do this by statute proceeding. Questions for clarification?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
That's just to make application.
Yes, sir. And the second public
Yeah,
hearing.
nothing else.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Again, that's at your desk and labeled at the top right corner, item 10F2. This is a reimbursement resolution. This resolution sets forth that we're intending to borrow, the amount not to exceed the 1.8 million. And of course, you're going to have expenditures incurred before that funding is available. So this allows the county 60 days prior to the date of this resolution to reimburse ourselves for any expenditure related to this project. This is a standard resolution that the cities and counties are all when they're moving forward to borrow. So again, I ask that you please approve this reimbursement resolution.
Motion to approve the reimbursement resolution, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second by Ms. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Right, on to item 10F3. This is the capital project ordinance for the Parker Meadows Recreation Complex. It lays out our expenditures for the project, different categories of expenditures, and also lays out our financing sources. Again, this is required whenever you're borrowing funds of this nature that you have to establish a capital project ordinance. So again, I would ask that you approve this ordinance.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
One more, the add-ons.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's right.
Last but not least, budget amendment number 132.
You have that one?
Pass that out.
Yeah. Did it make
I
it all the
got
way
it.
down?
I got it.
Yes, I don't remember if it was at last month's meeting or what, but one before, but the board had pretty much said that y'all were going to get to $1 million out of general fund balance to go with the party grant as well as the loan. So this amendment, and we agreed that we'd do half this fiscal year, half next fiscal year. So this sets forward the half for this fiscal year as a transfer over to the capital project fund out of fund balance appropriated. So I just need action on this to, this way the pieces, this is the various pieces falling in place.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. One dissenting vote, Mr. Higgins. Is that it, Lord?
That's it, thank you very much.
10G is a request for fireworks display for the Nantahala Volunteer Fire Department. You have a copy of that. I think that's pretty clear. Any questions about that?
Only observation I would make is the county technically is required to issue a written permit upon finding that indeed they have an appropriately trained and licensed person to put on that display. And it's incumbent upon the county to ascertain that before issuing.
And Seven Valley, you will find that is definitely.
And I do think it's important to follow that process, because if there were an issue, you want that permit.
Is that the one that occurs at the county, that's how you done it?
We actually issued the permit, county has authority.
County commissioners approve the person in writing.
So we didn't need that in writing, but that's one complicated.
And I think it would be appropriate for the commissioner to specifically direct your county manager to provide that.
I've talked with Ed West on this, which has presented this to tourism, and there's a possibility that he's going to fill this request out in Iraq.
You know, I don't know.
Says prime paper.
Okay, they're trying to do it anyway. But in following the legalities this year, I make a motion to do it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
I'd say if you're going to shoot off of Richard Jones's property, I'd say you'll probably put good news in.
I would think so.
I would think so.
Number H was requested by Commissioner Haven to do with the Greenway.
Okay, I wanted to address something that there's been some information talked about with the Greenway Group, actually for 3 or 4 months. And there is a particle of land laying in between being able to connect the Greenway somewhere right in around the fire building out there, somewhere in that area. Don't hold me right to the exact part. But Macon County manager met with them and the Little Tennessee Land Trust out here. And what they're wanting to do is pursue acquiring a piece of land out there. Now, according to the Tennessee Land Trust, they would pay for it. And I'm not exactly sure what the legalities of this is and how we would be able to do about it. So I told them I would address this at the meeting and ask some guidance or information from you, as county attorney, make the rest of the board members aware that they're asking for.
Be more than happy to discuss what they have in mind. You know, without being privy to that, it's hard for me to comment. Without me that,
Well, there's supposed to be a portion of it that runs in there somewhere above the fire building or something. And I have not walked on that part. I have actually walked where it started out here and go around there to where it ends right there in the garden. But
That's not how we're supposed to fire it.
well, I'm wondering if they're talking about right at the edge of the recreation park as it sort of wraps around
It must be.
over there, over that way. But, you know, regardless, that group has been just real good about locating properties that there would be some benefit to conserve and do some conservation activities.
If we could tie that together, it'd be a good one.
Be very good to try to.
Yes,
Chris.
yeah, this is Chris.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's another piece of him and that big farm down through there that is, they will never.
now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you was to go around down the red part, like turning in, going around Field Rate Building and So like for the swimming pool, just don't turn the swimming pool, go on down to the bottom.
Almond Drive.
Almond Drive, you're right.
Down to tennis court?
Somewhere down in there,
Turn in.
Yeah, go
somewhere
down to tennis court.
down in
Oh,
there.
back on the side, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there is some parcels now. From our understanding, the way they talk about that, there was not exactly just one person on the land. There might be a
Where
couple.
you put that, that's where the county put that
About
sewer.
There's four.
Follows the sewer line through that.
There's about
Yeah.
four private owners down through there, and a couple of them adamantly opposed to Greenway coming through there.
Well, now, if this was said, and there was somebody asked me on the Greenway Committee, would I start calling up to see if they would sell land? I said, wait a minute. I said,
Good move.
you're not gonna stick me out there next week saying I'm going to support that, so that's why I'm here with that. To where I can take something back and then tell them the procedure. But they did say that at some point in time in the past, they had checked. And a couple of people just flat refused to sell it with the right of way. Am I correct on that? But they said that'd been some time.
Same landowners now.
Okay. So if they want to go back to check again, though. So would you lead me as how to conduct them into checking this out, or who needs
Yeah,
to check it
I tell
out?
you what, why don't we do this, this would be my recommendation, is perhaps you and myself and the necessary county manager, and just schedule a brief meeting with them to make sure I'm completely clear on what they would like to accomplish. And then, I think to the extent it would require participation by the county, then we would need to make sure the county is desirous of participating in that. I think that would be the best way to approach this.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you, what I need to do is maybe for, like our next meeting, they were gonna be happy is for me to check it down and check back with you and maybe try to see if that.
You know, possibly if we could get a meeting set up with them before the 29th, maybe we could address it.
I would make a point to contact Kay Coriel, she is chairperson of the board.
And I think to the extent that there are folks that are involved in LPLP, might be good to have a representative from that group.
We had this gentleman from Silver, I can't remember his name. Yeah, Massive, there you go.
He's with the Clean Water Trust Fund.
That's right, and he also, but he stated with the LTL that they would be willing to give grant money in this situation to acquire property.
Yeah, I think we need to get them to the table and, you know, make sure they're on board for that understanding.
Okay, and another thing that they were doing some complaining about, and I'm gonna bring back, is somehow mowing in the grass down there along the greenway. I think there's supposed to be a barrier of grass that's not mowed in between that and waterways. What was DSA was asking us about some kind of negative plans, things that like this. But I don't know what to tell them. We've got county employees that they need to maybe somebody go down there and point all those flowers out.
You do have some conservation easements down there that are where there are obligations owing to Clean Water Trust Fund folks. And if I'm not that mistaken, there are some restrictions about what you can and cannot cut within that area. And I think it would be wise for us to make sure our maintenance understands where those easements are and what restrictions there are.
That basically is what we had pointed out. They need, because we got a maintenance guys out there mowing grass. He mows grass and all grass looks the same. He might say just like me.
The county that we provide.
We provide the maintenance of that to be mowed down there along the greenway. And their complaint is they're mowing always.
Get too far one way or the other.
Right. And so I'm just asking if that suits everybody else's.
I think it would be appropriate to look into it, gentlemen, simply from the standpoint that you're contractually obligated to do it the way it's set forth in the conservation.
Chester, now, so I guess one of the concerns I had, you know, we do get a lot of people calling and complimenting the condition of the greenways in and how nice and neat it looks and how they enjoy walking on it. The maintenance does a terrific job down there. I guess I'm concerned about it if we leave it and let it grow up in certain places, the potential for, you know, snakes or vermin and things like that down there.
Well, I think there are the potential for those things, but however, I would say to you that to the extent that you want to deviate from what's required there, you would need to communicate with the folks at the Clean Water Trust Fund and ask for the deviation.
Right, and if that is in that, like you say, that's in the agreement that we have with the Clean Water Trust Fund, we need to certainly have to look at that.
I will tell you, they are a good group to work with, and if they can see some common sense reasons for deviating that are consistent with what they're trying to do, they are very good to work with.
Nobody's complaining right now about having water.
Well, there's some of them on the greenway saying that they're in places mowing. To my understanding, all the way to the water places, there's supposed to be a barrier of natural. And
That's what I said. That's why it needs to be marked equally, so like rocking it.
What they're doing out there looks very good, there's no question about it.
right. It is what it,
You remember we got into saying about, we go from the invasive species that we wanted to eradicate, now they want, so I get confused, but, I would have them mark it out by town max if they were going to go put the flag to where they didn't want to read it.
We don't want to cut down the river around it.
Well, that's what it was.
I will tell you, the folks that work with the LTLP did, I thought, a really neat project trying to put together and locate those conservation easements. They took some of the county aerial tax maps and photographs and then took the deeds for the conservation easements and superimposed those on those maps. And they were kind enough to share with me a copy of them, and I had found them very, very helpful in locating those various easements. If you look at them just on the deed themselves, it's kind of difficult to locate them. Somebody with their group has put a lot of time and effort in locating and drawing, and they did a good job. If those would be helpful, I can provide a copy of those to the county manager or any member of the board. But I'll be all right.
Ron, you had, you were talking about the TDC.
I want to address a couple of things here also on the TDC. There have been some talk among the TDC members a little bit of time about people who rent houses or cottages. Pull my card out here. Okay. People who have cottages and cabins and rental houses that are for rent by the week and nightly or even seasonally, they were talking about the tourism tax, which is 3% for the county and 3% from the town. And Gary Nicholson used to send out forms who had houses or whatever that you would rent to tourists for a couple of months by the season, or say nightly or weekly or whatever. to make them aware that that was under the same law in North Carolina as the taxation of motel rooms or what have you. And so it was, they were discussing, well, how do you go about it, who does it, and what have you. And so this has been several meetings that have come up with. And so one of the members that is on the TDC, this right here is a book that is given out as a tourism tool for people that's at the Chamber of Commerce, and they have this at the Welcome Center and what have you. Well, inside this book, it lists a bunch of people who has places that they rent out on weekly rentals and what have you, but they list in this. And what they are doing, or what they're asking is for me to, as a liaison, speak to each one of them about this, and maybe having somebody in our department to take this book, and everybody list that they have properties for seasonal rental and nightly rental, to send them a letter making them aware that they're obligated to pay a 3% tourism tax on this, and it is inside the city limits. They're required to pay the 3% tax or the total 6%.
This is not the first time this has been brought up. Well, give you some history. Gary Dickerson was contracted by the county. I don't think any of us were on the board.
Oh, but I realize, because I've been in the rental business for a lot of years.
The county contracted him to police this.
Along with the chamber. This chamber put some money in it.
Identified a lot of folks that weren't
Is that the TDC and the TDA?
The TDA is Tourism Authority, which belongs to the town. TDC is the county, and that's one down in the liaison too, and it's through the chamber, I think, because that's where we meet, is in the chamber.
And who's responsible for policing this, the TDC or the TDA?
Well, I guess that may be my question that I'm coming to.
We have no,
The authority's town, we're not an authority, TDC is separate.
County 3% taxes collected by the county, and then remitted to either if it's been passed on to either Highlands or Franklin.
It's been a concern of the Highlands TDC as well. I gave Jack an example, I believe it was Haywood County, that did a mailing they just put out for their tax records every year, when they did the property tax mail outs. It's a very simple little sheet of paper, and it said we would, have to pay this, otherwise those penalties and jail time, yada, yada, yada. I don't know whatever happened to that, but I'll go look for it. I honestly forgot about it.
You're saying they
It's hard to
their property
police.
tax bills, just trying to make everybody aware.
What Kevin referred to, is the chamber was involved, I was based in the chamber at the time. And it's very hard to, it's almost like an honor program, it really is. It's an honor system. Because you'll spend more having somebody's wages than you collect. You're not sure. That's what we found out, and there's something like Commissioner Tate's talking about that. That's fine, but just identify these folks. But it's hard to do. And they know, and most of them know the rules.
There was something that came to me, they were asking me some questions about the hikers. And it's no secret that there's 100 or more hikers pass right through this trail a day. And many times there's over 200. But one day I remember bringing 216 hikers back in 2007 into town when it all of a sudden dropped at 0 temperature that one night after everything. There is a hospital, everybody understands what a hospital is, a bunkhouse. There's one being put in Manhattan called the Macon Hospital, who has taken in dozens and dozens of hikers, and now charging them $20 to stay there. They advertise all over the internet, they're in their guidebooks and manuals and everything else. So this was one of the concerns that was brought to me about one of the members. I don't know, not in any way. But anyhow, they had asked if, I bring it to the board and asked if people was liking this book right here advertising if they had this, to mail out a letter making them aware of that people by law didn't stay as much as 3 months in one place. That they were required to pay a 3% tax on the income. Now, but on the other hand, talking about the honor system, the way it's set up, your tax write-off, things like that, and depreciation of property is involved. And if, I believe this is whoever I'm suggested to send it to, Lord, you said, what's the girl's name in the department? Tyra? Would you folks on the board be instructed, maybe send out a letter to these people? Yeah, I'll let him know.
There's a lot of them that they already have too.
Send that letter.
And we did that, we did the change when I was there, and I walked out to see it. And they was some response, and some things responded, and it goes along good for a little while, and then they'll know that
We just want to come again.
We release the ones we have, the ones that send tax, if they don't keep on top of that, if they don't remit, even if it's a 0 month, they have to send a
Does
report.
Tyra do that?
Yeah.
We have.
And again, it's not her only job duty, she has many duties.
I'm gonna see if I can.
She's not a full-time person, but
city didn't get hired.
Yeah, I don't know, I just have a copy of the letter.
Let me ask this question on the very same with what you just said. It's like if I've closed one of my motels through the winter time, I still have to fill out a tax report monthly sale, zero. Same way as I have to fill out the tax board of the states. If a person maybe suggests sending one of those forms to them, they're advertising rent, they have to fill out one each month.
Yeah.
So,
That way, at least have one list.
yeah.
I'll just easy to put there, talk to the board, Tyra, see what might be good next time.
okay. And the other thing that I had that is just questionable to, you tell me and I'll take it back. This tourism development money that's took in is for tourism advertisement, it's for, to promote Macon County in tourism or to promote, whatever, like they have some kind of, like a barbecue festival or something, that's to promote Franklin. Of course, anytime there's some money there, there's people that come around to want to know if you can fund this and fund that, but it's brought up about this fireworks and the one that we have here in Macon County. You know, the tourism, county tourism pays for that. But there's some of them on that board saying that this is not something to draw tourists in here. That this is something that is for the local people. I said, I'll address that to the board and see what to take this for the rest of it's on that.
That's a decision maker.
That's the decision.
What they're asking is on
I
that.
can give you a good contact for them.
Okay.
Chris, I'll email it to you tomorrow. There's a guy named Chris McLaughlin at the School of Government.
Right.
And he's well versed on occupancy tax, and, you know, the appropriate expenditures for a TDC.
Mhm.
So I'll email you his contact info tomorrow, and maybe you can share that with them, you know, and they can pose that question to him. Is it an acceptable expenditure of tourism dollars?
All right. So what-
You okay with that?
Oh, yeah, I am, but they're saying was, that they felt like that they should be paid for by something besides tourism, because they didn't feel like. I'll say this right here, I mentioned something about those hikers, I said, you was in the paper about the Warriors, there's a good deal of cat thing. I want to send you a picture of one of the hikers, I get hundreds of fees a year. I face that violence sins, right there, one when they make it to Mount Todd in Maine, they send the pictures, face it, face violence sins. Had a big deal turn out, on tourism.
Did you get put up a bunch of them for free or something?
I They paid for one night's room and some of them I told us that you guys wish they could enjoy the pay. People stay all night because I left.
Anybody picture or you?
No, that's one.
I gave him a pen.
Oh.
That's one word.
Yeah, he made
Flag.
no flag, just pen, rough flag.
They wrote on the back there a nice low trailer service.
Just a pen.
Thank the commissioner for that. I hope this ain't bad.
I didn't have to agree.
Oh, I even agree with your politics. Way to go, baby. It's working.
Maybe you fall off the mill.
No, you don't make them out the top.
Thank you, Ron.
Anyway, I thank you for
What you do, you don't hide
information.
Brings a lot of money.
There's a lot of people in here.
Gentlemen, the consent agenda, you got it through, cut and dried, it's the minutes from March 11th and 18th. Budget amendments, tax relief, changes Macon County public health fees. Any questions about that? You may remove anything from the consent agenda, or we'll have a motion to approve the consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Tate. Motion by Hayden, second by Tate. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, that motion passes. Gentlemen, we're almost done.
Almost done.
Appointments, if you'll flip over, you've been provided with, we'll take these one at a time. The Macon County Heritage Center Advisory Board, we do have an application, there's one seat level, we do have an application from Barton D. Clinton attached.
Very cool.
It's the next page. It's the next page past that.
Motion to approve, which you take?
We have a motion. I say, I'll second. No further questions. We have a motion second. Discussion.
We replacing somebody or is it? This would be, I believe, replacing Betty Williams.
Betty Walton, President Action.
Any discussion? Opposed? That motion passes. We have the community funding pool. We have the terms of Hammond Rowers, Mary Ann Sloan, Jennifer Jones, and Cindy Reed, expire on April the 12th. They actually were not needed. A little bit later in the year, Mike. Are they all willing to come back on? Have we contacted them?
They've not contacted, I know Mary Ann is, that's all I know.
If we don't have those applications, we'll just table that to the next meeting. Mike, could you contact them and see if they're interested in continuing? The Joint Community Advisory Committee for Adult Care, Nursing Homes, Macon County, and Goldsmith.
Mr. Chairman, I'm the liaison there, and Ms. Goldsmith has done a great job with this committee, and she requested to be with them.
You making that motion?
Yes, I am.
Motion second by Hayden. All, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Talked with Matt Mason this afternoon, there's 2 planning board seats. Lamar Sprinkle has indicated he does not want to continue. Bill Futrell has indicated that he does want to continue.
I just texted him while he was sitting there.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's like, let's find out for this to our next meeting, and see if we can get some applications.
I know we have some now, we just don't have more than
Well, I got a call from that, we have an application from Carl West, who came off the board 2 months ago. So he's the only application we had. You guys put him on for Lamar's seat. Bill has indicated, but we're not going to give the application.
send the application.
Bill had, but he said he would, I just texted him when he was sitting there.
So we can make that next. Where's
I'll just send it
tomorrow?
whatever.
I'm fine with that. Give everybody a chance.
Okay. That's all I had, Kevin, closed session. And knowing what we're going to discuss, I don't anticipate any action. Do you anticipate any action? You anticipate any action? anticipating no action. This is information they're going to give us. So do we have a motion to go in closed session? Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into closed session. Back. And just FYI, we will be continuing this meeting until April the 29th. 6 p.m. 5 West Main Street, Franklin, North Carolina, 28734.